and a very warm welcome to this 1.1 Oneness meditation session. My name is Els. We started this Oneness project way back in May 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, COVID and lockdown. It was a very stressful time for many people around the world. We live in uncertain times in a very fast changing world. Not only the pandemic, but other challenges come our way or have come our way. And there are things that we never had expected would happen in our lives. Several of us working for Onepoint Consulting are meditating on a regular basis. The meditation we practice is called Raja Yoga. It's the yoga of the mind. I personally find this practice very beneficial, not only in the workplace, but also in my personal life. This practice focuses on calming the mind, focusing on positive thoughts, and creating a peaceful atmosphere around us. We felt that it might be a good idea to share some of these thoughts and practices with a wider audience, and that was the start of the Oneness project. So far, we have had more than 150 international guest speakers who have contributed to this project. They are experienced meditators from different professional backgrounds. All the sessions have been recorded and they are available on YouTube. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome Samantha Fraser, who joins us from Oxford in the UK. Samantha has been a primary school teacher for nearly 30 years. Although she was born in London and educated in the UK, Samantha spent 20 years working in different countries in Africa, and she was teaching there, but also coordinating the activities of the Brahma Kumaris. She is currently based at the Global Retreat Center in Oxford. This center offers residential and one-day retreats, as well as lectures, seminars, and courses in meditation, personal growth, and spiritual development. The topic for today is unplugging to recharge. So very warm welcome to you, Samantha.
Thank you, Els. And it's good to be with the Onepoint project today. And so as you shared, the topic is unplugging to recharge. And I actually chose this topic because it's something that I've been looking at in terms of checking, where does my energy go? I've been a meditator for a while, but still wanting to kind of understand, what am I plugged into that's really draining me of energy? And one thing I realized was that the area of our life that drains the most of our energy is actually our relationships. And that might be relationships at work. It may be relationships at home in my community. And one of the things about the relationships that I've been observing is this whole aspect of attainment, because we enter into relationships because, well, sometimes we don't have a choice. We're born into a particular family or we're working with specific colleagues. But the relationships that we choose those because there's some kind of attainment. There's something that I'm getting from that relationship. And it's when I feel that attainment, whether it's somebody who has the same values as me, then it gives me a sense of security. And I think most of us, if not all of us, we're looking for a sense of security and safety. And when we're plugged into temporary sources for that, then what happens is that I find I have lots of waste thoughts if the attainments are not being met. And so one of the things that we tend to do is we tend to look outside for that feeling of security, which is actually a basic need. It's a basic human need to feel safe and secure. And so we look for that in many different ways. And most of the time we're looking for those things externally. So my security can come from the way I do my job. I get very good feedback. It could come from my physical appearance, many different sources. But the problem with that is that it's very, very temporary. And behind any set of relationships that we have, or the things that we feel we need, all of those things are based on a set of beliefs that we've created about what works for us, about the type of relationships that I need, even about security. And when we have beliefs that are limited and somebody maybe goes against those beliefs, then we find that there's instability, or perhaps my expectations are not met. And so then there's disappointment. And I think we all know when we've felt that level of disappointment, that there's a lot of things going on internally, and that's where we lose a lot of energy. And so if my safety supports are being threatened in any way, or they're changing in any way, then it's very easy to react with a lot of emotion. And I've been just looking at my own reaction sometimes. And you know, sometimes when something happens and it's actually not that big a deal, but the amount of emotion that we contribute or we attribute to that is out of proportion, it's disproportionate. And I know that for myself, one of my own triggers is this whole aspect of consistency in terms of the way that we treat each other. And I had this very, very high ideal about my relationships, and that they should be consistent, you know, there should be clear communication. And also about how other people would have their relationships. I'd also be judging that a lot. And I think the reason why I had to dissolve that belief about everybody should be consistent in their relationships, which is not actually practical, was because I noticed within myself, I had the ideal, but I actually wasn't consistent in the way that I treated people. And I realized that I had that belief of consistency because I wanted to feel safe. And so if in the relationship, I could predict, you know, what was going to happen, or I could feel that another relationship, there was fairness and equality, then I would feel kind of in a safe space, in a safe environment. And so it's very interesting when we look at what discharges our battery, our energy level. And I really feel it's this level of relationships and the beliefs that we have around these relationships. And I think the other thing that we have to really notice or understand is the whole aspect of ego and how that really interferes with our perceptions and our sense of who we are. Because if I'm relating to myself in terms of what I do and trying to take my energy from outside, and that often means feedback from others or being in a place that makes me feel good, which is often not the case all the time. We can't be in that place all the time. Then it's okay if that's happening. But as soon as I'm in a different environment where I'm not getting the feedback that I want or the support that I need, then definitely there's going to be a lot of high emotions, a lot of thoughts, and I find that my energy is going to be depleted. So it's not a question of how much work I have to do in a day, but it's really about the thoughts that are going on in my mind about what I'm doing. And we know there are days when we are feeling really positive and everything's wonderful, high energy, and we've got a lot of work to do. We get through it, no problem. And then next week, let's say, there's some situation at home, there's some issue within my family, whatever it might be. And I come to work with a low energy level because of the thoughts that are playing in my mind. Same amount of work, in fact, it's less, half the amount of work I had yesterday or the day before. And it's a struggle to get through the first piece. And so it means then that I need to look at where am I using my energy? What am I plugging into? How much of my time is about thinking about other people in a very critical or fear-based way? Because again, a lot of our energy is depleted through fear of loss, fear of worrying about what other people are going to say, fear of disappointment. I mean, there's a whole list of fears that we can go through. Fear of rejection, and all of these types of thoughts drain our energy. So I think the first thing that we need to do is to recharge is to begin to look at what's happening inside in terms of our thinking. Everything that we do, every word that we speak, every action that we perform starts with a thought. And we have the ability to create very positive and powerful thoughts about ourselves. And we're trained, or we're in a habit of being quite critical about ourselves. So if I want to begin to recharge my battery, the first thing is I need to go inside. I need some practice. And so meditation, of course, is one way in which I create space inside just to see the amount of confusion that might be there on a particular day. The first thing we're doing is just observing. And the silence that that brings just by watching what's going on in the mind and making a decision to say, Sam, that's enough. My energy is depleting because of what I'm doing to myself. And so it's about cultivating, I feel, a very positive and powerful relationship with ourselves that's based on not what's happening externally, not what other people are saying, but recognizing my own value. And my own value comes from not what I do, but from who I am as a person. So one of the things that we talk about in meditation, the first step, is connecting to my true self, my spiritual self. And all that really means is to connect to the qualities that I am. The things that give us energy, or the people that give us energy, are the people that are positive, that have an attitude which is one that uplifts other people. And that's the kind of company I think we all enjoy, not somebody who's complaining and defaming people or being critical. So the fact that we enjoy that kind of company where it's light and happy and there's love and there's understanding, it's an indication for me that's what exists inside of me, because that's where I like to be. And so it's really about finding the time and the space and the place to go inside myself to discover that those qualities are already there. And my value then is based on connecting with those qualities and using them. So if I'm with a particular person who brings that out of me, again, they simply brought it out. They couldn't have brought it out unless it was already within me. And so to recharge, let me look at my day and begin to find moments where I can pause and I can really spend quality time with myself. And one very powerful method that I know has worked for myself and many other people is just the use of affirmations. We don't have time during our working day to have a meditation for 10 minutes. But if I can wake up in the morning and create one powerful thought about myself, for myself, and keep that through the day, that is the starting point of beginning to reconnect myself with myself when I get lost in the task during my working day. So it might be, the affirmation might be that, I'm a powerful person, powerful being. And even if you don't believe it, it's okay, because when you say it and you repeat that through the day, it's almost as if that unlocks a memory of because I am that. And so by just repeating that affirmation, or I'm stable, whatever, or I'm safe and secure, it could be just that. And I say that through the day, it's giving me an injection of energy. And if that's the practice during the day, then when I have my moment for meditation, when I'm at home or I'm going for a walk, whatever I may do, then that practice during the day will give me a very good starting point to really experience that quality of silence and stability with myself when I sit down and meditate or reflect. And I really feel now that meditation is becoming more and more a part of everybody's life. And it's not about hours, it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes to be with me. And I think if our relationship is a positive one with ourselves, then I think to spend 5 quality minutes with myself, not about my job or what I need to do next for the family, but just with myself. That's an indication that there's value for myself. Not what I do, but just spending time with myself. The other very good aspect, which I really enjoy, which helps me to recharge, is journaling. And there are many benefits which have been researched about how journaling can actually increase your immune system. It can give you clarity in terms of having to solve particular situations. It can reduce stress. I mean, there's a whole list of benefits that I was quite amazed to read about. But I know when I've done journaling for myself, it allows me to understand what's going on inside. Sometimes I can't get it just by meditating or trying to understand what's going on in my mind. But when I write it down, whatever's going on inside, there's clarity. And I realize that the lack of energy or the confusion or the instability is coming from something within myself that I haven't seen. And so I know for myself, a few years ago, I had to look at this whole subject of self-respect and self-love, because I think the biggest discharge, or the reason why we lack energy, is because of a lack of self-respect. And when my respect is based on something external and I'm waiting for other people to validate me, then that's going to be up and down for most of the time. I'll be up one moment and down the next. But when my self-respect is based on the core qualities that each and every one of us has, then that becomes a very, very powerful and solid foundation from which I can feel a sense of security, a sense of stability. And when there's self-respect, then I'm in a place of being able to give. I think our natural default when we are not stressed is to be able to keep giving to others. I think we want to do that naturally, whether it's through our work, through our family members. We have this inbuilt, what is it? Gift or ability to want to share what we know. That's only when I've got a very solid foundation. And more than that, though, I think the reason why we need to keep recharging ourselves, and the reason why we keep discharging, even though we're doing positive things, I think that gets to a point where we're not aligned with our own truth. We somehow compromise what we feel is right for ourselves because of influence from outside factors. And I think the more we align with what feels right, and I'm not talking about external things, but there's this like intuition, this inner knowing of when I'm aligned and connected to myself and when I'm not. We can't always articulate it. It's more of a feeling. And the more we're able to increase that alignment, the more we're able to keep a very steady and stable connection with ourselves and with others. And there is not a question of plugging into one thing and another thing and trying to find a sense of happiness or stability externally. But there's this relationship with myself that's based on a lot of honesty and the recognition and deep understanding of where my values are and what's important to me. And so I suppose in summary, what I'm really saying is, first of all, check where your energy is going. And the best way to do that is just look at what's going on in your mind. Where are your thoughts going to? And try to go a little bit deeper. You might say, well, my thoughts are going to my work. Okay, but why are they going there? And so there's something about my relationship with myself that's allowing me to spend a lot of energy outside of myself worrying about certain things. It's good to check that. The second thing is, as I was just sharing, is to make time to be with yourself. And affirmations is a very good, easy way to start that. And then if you can begin to spend 5 or 10 minutes, 5 minutes before you go to work, when you wake up, maybe listening. There's lots of commentaries, meditations that are available online. So start the day with the intention that first I've got to get myself set, aligned. And then, of course, during the day, many things happen, but then ending my day, realigning myself, right? Yeah, during the day, there'll be situations and all of that, and there'll be reactions, fine. But let me finish that day by aligning myself with what really matters. And what really is important is having a very clear connection with yourself so that we can have that with our family members and our colleagues at work and our community, friends, etc. And I think always to also remember that we are kind of built to give, to share. So when I'm not in a good space and I'm holding on and, you know, kind of a little bit insular, that in itself is going to create a lot of extra thoughts, a lot of disconnection. And so if I can start by appreciating myself and also those around me, that will give me energy. And so those good chemicals of oxytocin, endorphins will be activated in the body. And I also like this aspect of gratitude. I didn't mention that earlier, but just being grateful. Gratitude for the people that are in my life, the things that have happened in my life. I'm not saying it's all been good, but we tend to focus on the things that are not working, and that disempowers us. But if I can, as well as doing my affirmations and my little 5-minute practice, can I make a commitment to see at least 10 good things, 10 things that I'm grateful for every day, and 10 different things? And this was something that I did a while back, and I think I did this for about 3 months. And one of them, a friend of mine had spoken about this gratitude journal that she was keeping. She kept it for a couple of years. And it was amazing how the energy shifted because I wasn't looking for the things that weren't working. I was consciously making an effort to look for things that were positive. And because it's not our default at the moment, we have to have a clear intention to be able to do that, so that I have the energy to keep doing and giving the best that I can. And when we do that, we feel good. And so there's nobody else that I know that's going to say to me, Sam, take some time out, recharge your battery, then come back when you're ready. Never. I've got to find a way in my busy schedule, in my day-to-day routine, for these injections. And to know when to insert those injections, I need some understanding of about what I'm doing currently and the kinds of things I need to change. Only I know that. And so when I take charge of that, then I find that I'm not having to constantly recharge, and like our phone. Every night I'm recharging my phone, but I'm able to keep myself charged through the day, because it takes effort to, when you're flat and stressed and you've just had a big argument and now you're having to recharge, it's like you're at zero again. It takes more time to build that energy back up. But if I can keep that, if I keep myself charged through the day, just through a few of these practices, then I'm not using the same amount of effort to get myself back on track. And I don't think we've got time to do that now, because there's so many things happening in a day. Some of my day I can predict. Before I could predict a lot of my day, a good 70% of my day. I find now that's reducing because there's so many things unexpected that's happening because of the nature of the world that we live in. So I really need to make sure that there's enough stability, there's enough energy to be able to deal with the unexpected. And so to remember that when I'm in a good space and I'm charged, then everything that I do will have some kind of value and will be done with quality. And my relationships will also be harmonious. Not all the time, but most of the time, if I'm giving that extra attention. So I think I'd like to end with a meditation, if I may. And it's just going to be a reflection, almost a summary again of what I've shared. And so just to make sure you're sitting in a comfortable position, helps if your both feet are on the floor, and maybe your hands can be just gently resting on your thighs. And maybe just take a few deep breaths just to release any tension that might be in the body. So a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And once again, breathing deeply in, inhaling and exhaling. And just taking this time to reflect on my own inner world of thoughts and feelings, and understanding that I have the capacity and the ability to change this inner world of thoughts and feelings. Because when there are many thoughts of the past or thoughts of the future, then I find that my energy gets depleted. And the only one that creates thoughts is actually myself. And so in this moment, I consciously decide to create an elevated and positive thought about myself. And I check what happens to my energy level. And so the thought is, I am a peaceful and powerful individual. We're going to say that 3 times very slowly in our minds. I am a peaceful and stable individual. And once more, I am a peaceful and stable individual. And when we remember the qualities that we actually have inside of us, and we use affirmations, we unlock a treasure store that I feel we have inside of us. And this treasure store contains peace and wisdom and love and happiness. And when I understand that I'm much more than what I do, what I say, what I look like, but there's a part of me that's very subtle, very powerful. And that part of me is not physical, but it's the part of me that's, in essence, all the qualities that are contained in that treasure store. So if my starting point is peace or stability or security, then that's going to open up an avenue of good feelings, positive responses, and positive connections. And the starting point for that was a thought. And so if through the day I can pause and remind myself of who I really am, peaceful, positive, powerful, then that's like an injection during the day, which will enable me to keep charged and keep charging as I move through the day, meeting people, working, finishing deadlines. But I'll be able to choose how I do that. And even if the default position has been stress or rush, today I can choose a different response. I can choose to start with myself. I can choose to put myself first. And by that, I mean choosing the right thought that's going to create a good flow, not just for myself, but also for others. And so let's end with this thought. I am valuable. I am valuable. I bring value to my work. I bring value to my relationships. But I can only do that if I know my own value. And my value is not based on what I do, but my value is simply based on who I am really. And that means a being that is peaceful, loving, wisdom, joyful. These qualities exist inside of all of us innately. And so the effort, I suppose, lies in reconnecting, rediscovering this part of ourselves that often only gets triggered in good company or by beautiful scenes in nature. But let me start by reconnecting to this part of myself and bringing out these qualities, not because of who I'm with or where I am, but simply because it's this that gives me value and allows others to also find their own value. Thank you.
Thanks, Samantha, for sharing your thoughts on this topic. You actually started with a very important question: how to recharge myself? What drains my energy? Is it fear, or is it wasted negative thoughts about myself or others? But you also then explained that how important it is to have a positive attitude towards myself, that self-respect. And we can explore techniques such as meditation, positive affirmations, and also journaling. Also, a big thank you to the technical team who always supports us behind the scenes. And for those of you who have joined us today, I hope you have enjoyed the session, and we are looking forward to welcoming you to the next 1.1 session. Have a very nice day. Bye-bye.